You are what you repeatedly do. Your habits make up essentially who you are in the situations that you encounter. For example, if you are fat or unhappy with your body, that is a result of your daily habits. That is a result of a lifetime of not working out regularly. It's of a lifetime of making poor food choices. And that's just scratching the surface. But if it is true that being fat is a result of your actions, is a result of your daily habits, of your daily disciplines, then so is being skinny. Being skinny is just taking different actions, making different choices. So that's what we're talking about today. The top 10 habits of a skinny person, based off of my own experience in losing weight and keeping it off. It is also based off of habits I have learned from naturally skinny people, as well as things we have learned from the actual supermodels themselves, okay? The epitome of skinny legend. If you guys have been following me, you know I've made several videos about, being skinny and what it takes to be skinny, and how essentially no one is naturally skinny and that it's just in their genetics to never gain weight. Usually naturally skinny people really don't try so hard to be skinny, but it's not because they can just eat whatever they want. It comes down to their daily habits and the actions they take that they don't even realize are keeping them skinny. Just how I think that a lot of us have different habits and take different actions that we don't even realize are making us fat. This is really going to dive in to the different ways of thinking that these naturally skinny people have that you may never have even thought about. But once you think about them and once you can implement them into your daily routine, then you can also start practicing the habits of these naturally skinny people and lose weight and become naturally skinny yourself. But first things first, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney Holcomb. I am author of the book, 1 Year, 100 Pounds. My book is about my weight loss journey, how I lost 100 pounds at 14 on my own. I then later went on to become a model. It was such a transformational journey, and I am on an ever transformational journey now. My channel is all about weight loss tips, as well as self-development and building the tools and confidence to really become our dream selves, living our ideal lives. I also have my guided weight loss journals, which are based off of the same journaling format I used when I was 14 years old to lose 100 pounds, the same format I use today. It is a series of 4 journals that takes you through an entire year, just like I had my transformational journey. I want that for you guys as well. So these journals are designed to help you take you through that year, change your habits, build discipline, and really go after everything that you want. So if you want to check those out, I will leave the links below. But let's dive into the first skinny habit that skinny girls have that you don't. And that is that skinny girls have better standards. Now, I'm not talking about better standards for men or better standards for other things in life, although coincidentally, or perhaps not so coincidentally, they actually do. And I think this has a lot to do just with their own inner confidence and how they see themselves and how they respect themselves. Because I do believe there is a big tie to treating your body right, whether you are doing that purposely or subconsciously, and how you respect yourself. And that shows through in your health. So I think either subconsciously or sometimes very consciously, there are skinny girls who are skinny for a reason and they admit it, they work at it, they have different standards for themselves. They respect their body because they respect how it makes them feel. They respect how it makes them look. And so they don't just eat whatever they want. They take care of their body. They work out. They eat healthy because they respect themselves, because they have a higher standard for themselves. And in a more literal sense, they have a different standard for what they allow and what they don't allow. So when it comes to their weight and how they look and how they feel, if they catch themselves gaining a few pounds, if they catch themselves overdoing it too many times during the week, if they notice that their clothes are getting a little bit tighter, they don't just say, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I guess, this is just my body changing. They don't just ignore it and cry about getting fat. What they do is they say, okay, hold on a minute. This is getting out of hand. This is not our standards. We know that we feel our best, we feel our most comfortable when we are this weight or when we look this way, when we are doing XYZ, when we are working out regularly, when we are eating healthy regularly. We know that gaining 5-10 pounds in a month, that's not normal. That's not right. That's not our standards. So if they catch the scale going up a little more than it should, it's more than just water weight. If they catch their clothes getting tighter, they nip that in the bud right away. They don't just let it get out of hand. They hold themselves accountable for their diet, for their workouts. So if they see something getting out of hand, they go back to their baseline, okay? They go back to their more disciplined habits. They know they need to cut back on what they're eating. They need to work out a little bit more until they get back to their equilibrium, to where they feel healthy. Sometimes this is subconsciously. I do think that, naturally skinny people, they have a better understanding of their natural hunger cues and really do respect their bodies more, and so that they can understand, like, okay, I need to, cool it for a little bit, not eat out as much, get some more steps in. And then other times it is more conscious and intentional. Both of these kind of, skinny girls exist, and neither is better than the other. I mean, I don't think that it's less aspirational to be someone who understands what it takes to stay fit and is more intentional about it. Like, I am definitely more intentional about it. I would not call myself like a naturally skinny person, but over the years of maintaining my 100-pound weight loss, of staying fit, I understand that my actions and me solely are responsible for the outcome. They are responsible for everything in my life. So I hold myself accountable. So if I see I'm gaining weight, okay, I know I'm doing something wrong. I will go and look back at what I've been doing, and then I will cut it out, and until I get back to where I want to be. So yes, number one is have better standards for yourself. I think this is especially important for any of us who have lost weight and are now in the maintenance phase, because yes, we are not going to be perfect all the time. You will see the scale go up and down. Sometimes it's water weight, sometimes it's not. That is our job to recognize when it's not water weight. It is our job to stay on track and on top of the changes in our body, because our bodies will always tell us or show us if something is out of whack. And if it is, then we don't need to cry and complain about it or say, oh, woe is me. See, I can't stay skinny. I'm just meant to be fat. No, we just need to find out what we're doing wrong and then fix it. Number two, skinny girls have a routine and they stick to it. They eat the same things every day. They have a regular workout schedule. They have a disciplined schedule. They have learned over the years what has worked for them. Again, whether this is just how they grew up and how they were taught, or it's something they had to learn on their own, they understand that this is the routine that keeps them feeling their best and looking their best. They go to bed at a certain time, okay? Again, they eat the same things. They know what to eat to make them feel their best, to make them look their best. And they don't veer from this. They don't just leave everything up to the wind. They're not just at the whim of their cravings. They're not just at the whim of, what their friends want to do. They have boundaries, right? So they have their routines, and no one else is going to get them out of their routine because they know that's not best for them. They know that they are in charge of their life. Now, I know some of you are sitting here probably saying, okay, yeah, but I know, one of those naturally skinny girls who she's just living a crazy life and she only eats like a pizza once every 3 days and then survives off of like vodka and she's skinny as all ever. Yeah, okay, but again, any of us would be skinny if we ate pizza like every 3 days and just lived off of cocaine vodka, okay? We're not talking about those skinny girls. We are talking about the healthy skinny girls, the Victoria's Secret model type, okay? The supermodels, the ones who do prioritize their health and wellness, all right? That is the kind of skinny that we are aspiring to. We are not aspiring to this, light as a feather, stiff as a board thing, okay? That's not us. We want to be intentional about it. We want to be healthy. We want to glow. We want to feel good on the inside and the outside. It is a spiritual thing for us as well as just an aesthetic thing, okay? So yes, skinny girls, they have the routine, they have discipline, and they prioritize that, which leads into the next skinny girl habit, is that they prioritize that routine, okay? They have their priorities straight. They have their routine and they skip to it. They know it's important in their life. They are able to work out every other day or eat healthy because they make it a priority, okay? It's not that they're not busy. It's not that they're not tired. It's not that they don't have other things going on in their life that the rest of us do. It's that they make working out, getting to their spin class a priority, okay? They make eating healthy a priority. If it means they have to get up a little bit earlier, if it means they have to put a little bit more work in, they still do it. They don't just skip their spin class for anything just because, a coworker wanted to go have happy hour. No. That spin class, that's part of the routine. They do that every Monday, every Friday, every Wednesday, okay? They're not going to skip that for anything. They're going to decline your invitation because they prioritize themselves. They prioritize their own time. So for them to skip their spin class and do what you want to do, it's got to be really important. Otherwise, it's just not happening. Their time, your time, is more valuable than anything. And they don't use getting out of their routine as an excuse to abandon their disciplines or their routines. Just because the entire friend group or the entire work group is going to an impromptu lunch at a pizza place, they're ordering the salad because pizza is not in their normal routine. Not unless it's a cheat day, okay? Different story. But if it's not part of their normal routine, no, they're gonna order the salad. They're not gonna use the excuse that, oh, well, I'm not at the office where I have, my usual prepped meal, or I'm not at home where I can cook my stuff, so I guess I just have to order the unhealthiest thing on the menu because everyone else is. No, stop that. We know that there are options no matter what restaurant we go to. It may not be the option that we want or that we're craving at the moment, but again, because they are disciplined, because they are committed to their routines, they stick to what they know. They stick to what works best for them, what feels best for them, and what keeps them a skinny girl. The next habit of skinny girls is that they stay busy. And this is probably something that is talked about the least, but this is definitely something I have noticed from my personal experience and from my own observations with, I guess, more naturally skinny people, is that number one, staying busy in general is probably one of the best hacks for weight loss. And I think that it's probably easy to see why. When you are busy and you're just constantly on the go, you don't have as much time to think about food. You don't have as much time to snack or mindlessly eat. And if you combine that with an already disciplined mindset who knows that okay, the next chance I do get to eat, I'm not gonna just stuff my face, then it's actually a really easy hack for losing weight because you just don't have as much time to eat those extra calories. And this is something I've noticed about naturally skinny people, is that they do tend to be pretty busy people. And sometimes this has to do just with their personality, they are just naturally hyperactive. We talked about that in my 6 habits of naturally skinny people, how, believe it or not, people who just fidget more, they're just kind of sitting and then just can't really stop moving. I'm sure we all know those kind of hyperactive people. That actually burns a lot of calories, a lot more calories than you would think per day. And they tend to be naturally skinnier because of it, because they're constantly moving. And I think that tends to go with the personality that is kind of maybe that type A personality that's always on the go and always into something. And oh man, it's been, 10 hours, I haven't even had lunch yet, right? That's their kind of mindset. It's their kind of personality. But I can also see how that personality would pair well with a more intentional skinny person because they are just more high achievers. So even if they're not naturally hyperactive, they purposely make themselves more active. Not necessarily just because they're trying to not eat, it's because they're just trying to live their best life and they have higher standards for themselves, right? So they are constantly looking into different projects, or they're more social, or they're working out, right? They're constantly doing something that makes them a more well-rounded person overall. And then in effect, it is easier for them to stay on top of their workout routine, to not eat as much, because they are just so busy and don't have as much time to think about food and mindlessly snack. Which brings us to the next habit, is that, they don't mindlessly snack. It's funny, I did a reaction to a reel from some girl recently. It was a reel of a girl and she was a naturally just kind of thin girl, and it was her what I eat in a day, and she was eating all this stuff throughout the day. And one of you asked me, you're like, hey, how does she eat like that and stay skinny? And when I looked at the reel, the number one thing I noticed was that she did not snack throughout the day. She had 3 meals total. And each of those meals was relatively healthy, not necessarily low in calorie, but relatively healthy in small portions, and no snacks or other sugary drinks in between. So this is true of someone who is both naturally skinny or intentionally skinny. They're not mindlessly eating potato chips throughout the day. They're not just mindlessly, dipping their hands into the candy jar at work. They're not just sitting around eating all day. They eat when they're hungry, they stop when they're full, they have their meals prepped and planned ahead of time, they already know what they're going to be eating. And if they are going to snack, they've brought their own snacks with them. It's something healthy, it's something high protein, it's something that keeps them satisfied. Again, they're not leaving it up to to the whims of the universe, I'm hungry, well, what's the closest thing in front of me? Oh, it's McDonald's, oh, it's Burger King, oh, it's this bag of potato chips. No, that's not what they're eating. If they get hungry, if they want to snack, they will intentionally search for something that aligns with who they are, something that aligns with their goals. So if they don't have an apple right in front of them or some mixed nuts right in front of them, then they're just not going to eat. They're just going to wait till later. They don't just mindlessly indulge because it's right in front of them. Which brings me to the next habit, is that they embrace hunger. Now listen, again, I am not talking about light as a feather, thick. We're not doing that here, okay? That's not what we're about. What I mean when I say that they embrace hunger, not because they're trying to be hungry, is that, look, they understand that being a little bit hungry sometimes is not the end of the world. So for example, if it is lunchtime and they forgot to pack their lunch, okay, the only thing that is available to them is French fries and a Big Mac and a sugary soda, they're just not going to eat it. They're going to wait till later if they have to, or they are going to go in search of something that does align with their goals. They know, okay, on a conscious and subconscious level, that not eating for a few hours is not the end of the world. I really feel like this is something in our society today that we just don't really understand. I feel like most of us, number one, don't really understand what it's like to be hungry because we've never really been hungry. We cave into our cravings, and it has been made so acceptable to just eat all day, every day. It has just been made so acceptable to snack throughout the day, to never go more than a couple hours without eating. When in reality, the human body can go a long time without eating. And in reality, short periods of fasting is actually really good for us. So that is something to naturally skinny people and intentional skinny people. They will go a long time without food. I think especially more like the naturally skinny people, right? They're the kind of people like, oh, it's been 10 hours. I forgot to eat lunch. Like, you know what I mean? Like I never forget to eat. Okay, so it just shows you like the difference between them. And then intentionally skinny people, they are the same way, but for the reasons that I mentioned, like they're just not going to eat whatever's in front of them just because it's there. If they have to wait, they will, because they know like, hey, I will be okay if I can't eat till I get home. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to pass away because of malnourishment. It doesn't happen that quickly. Like, it will be okay. I have the discipline. I will not fade away if I have to wait a few more hours until I can eat something healthy. Okay, the next habit of naturally skinny people or intentionally skinny people is that they do not have food noise. So listen, this is something that, kind of sounds unfair because I'm sure a lot of us are like, well, I do have food noise. Like, I do think about food. Like, how do you not, right? And like I have said many times with naturally skinny people, I think that they are able to eat like trigger foods in moderation because they are just wired differently. You know what I mean? Like they can eat a cookie and, feel full and then just stop and then they don't crave it afterwards. So that's unfortunate if we are wired differently, right? Where we do have that one cookie and now that's all we can think about for the rest of the day. But as someone who has struggled with food noise in the past and has struggled with overeating and became obese because of it, I can tell you right now that food noise does not have to be permanent. Now I have done different videos about hinge eating. I can't say that word. I have to be careful. YouTube will demonetize me. And also food noise. Like I have said, it is not something that has to be permanent. You can subdue the food noise so that you are not constantly craving and thinking about it, but it does take discipline. It does take different habits. Mainly, you have to cut out the foods that give you the food noise to begin with, because that, at least in my opinion and in my experience, I do not have an issue craving those foods unless it is directly in front of me and I am eating it on a regular basis. But now that I don't really eat processed foods for the most part, at least not overly processed foods. I'm talking like, okay, cookies and cakes and candy bars. I don't eat that stuff on a regular basis. I don't crave it. Now that I eat a more whole foods diet and I have a more disciplined lifestyle, I just don't make those foods part of my normal routine and I don't miss them. So no, I'm not constantly thinking about food all the time. It's a different story if like, okay, I eat a cookie, I eat a candy bar, while now like, yeah, I do have that food noise where I'm like, oh, I want more, right? But there is a miraculous thing that happens is once you kind of wean yourself off of that stuff and you stay away from it for a while, you don't have those cravings again. And then even when you do indulge sometimes, like, yeah, you may have that feeling like, I just want to eat all the candy bars, right? Instead of just sticking to one. But the next day, usually you feel so sick and you're just, so out of whack that you actually start to crave your healthier foods. So as long as you can be disciplined and stick to your skinny girl habits, right? You can indulge every once in a while and not experience that same constant food noise, but it takes a while to build up to that. So again, if you are not, naturally skinny and don't have that food noise whatsoever, then you have to be more intentional about it. Moderation doesn't work, at least in my opinion, for people like me. So you have to consciously push that food noise away by not keeping that stuff in your normal routine. Like you just can't eat like one cookie every single day. You should not buy a box of cookies and keep it in your cabinet or keep it on your counter because it's just tempting yourself and it will just increase the food noise. But speaking of moderation and of indulging sometimes, this brings us to our next habit in that they do not demonize food. They don't attach morality to food. This is especially true for naturally skinny people who, again, like I said, oh, they eat a cookie here and there and it's like, no big deal. Like they don't get fat from a cookie because they eat one cookie, right? They do, they eat whatever they want. The difference is they eat it in moderation because they can, because it's easier for them. So they don't see food as good or bad. They just see it as, hey, I'm hungry, I'm gonna have some food right now, and then I'm gonna stop when I'm full. And then that's it, right? If you can do that, that's awesome, right? And then you can eat whatever you want. I mean, I will say, I think to naturally skinny people, whether they know it or not, they also do tend to veer towards healthier foods anyway. So that's something that's kind of interesting. Like there's a quote Candace Swanepoel said when she was talking about her diet and her workouts or whatever. And she's like, oh, I have a fast metabolism. I'm the kind of girl, like I'll order a salad, but then I'll have French fries on the side, which I always thought was so funny because it sounded like she was trying to say like, yeah, I'm effortlessly thin because my metabolism is just so high. But in reality, what she was saying is I pretty much eat healthy and then I have a few French fries on the side, okay? So yeah, I think that this is important because I think that it may be harder for those of us who have struggled with our weight to not like demonize food, because we do see food as like an addiction. And for some of us, it can feel like a demon, right? When you are in that kind of hinge cycle where it does feel like it has power over you. So I can understand that feeling of like, my God, like I don't even want to look at cookies right now. I hate cookies because every time I eat them, I just feel this kind of way. The problem is when we do demonize it or, turn it into a moral failing if we eat a cookie, is that like there's that saying, what you resist persists, right? The more we think about it, the more we feel like we're depriving ourselves, then the more likely we actually are to overeat or go through that hinge cycle. So if there is anything I will say, from my experience of being someone who is intentionally skinny, is that, yeah, I understand that there is no morality to food. Like, yes, and again, with my experience and just calorie counting, like I always say, it's calories in versus calories out. You literally can't eat whatever you want to and stay skinny or lose weight as long as you're eating within a calorie limit. So no, I don't think that you should feel bad about eating certain things as long as you are able to work it off or you are able to work it into your daily calorie allotment. I don't think that you should see you indulging every once in a while as like a moral failing and it's just a lack of discipline. It happens. I still indulge sometimes today. I still overindulge sometimes today. But you know what? Because I have ingrained some of these, skinny girl habits into my daily routine, I know that I can get back at it, right? I nip it in the bud. So there is no such food that when you just, eat a bite of bread, it just goes straight to your hips. That's not true. It's all about calories. So no, don't look at food as like necessarily good or bad. Just look at it as like, look, this aligns with my goals. This doesn't. This makes me feel good. This doesn't. I can eat an apple and not feel like I'm powerless or not feel like I want to eat 20 apples. When I eat this candy bar, it's a different feeling. I feel like I am powerless. I feel like I have to keep eating a million candy bars until I'm sick. So you know what? It's a choice. I'm going to choose to eat this, the apple, because it makes me feel better. Maybe one day when I feel stronger or when I really want to, I will have that candy bar and then maybe I will overeat, but I know that one bad day does not automatically make me fat and I know I have control. So after I have that bad day of eating candy bars, I go right back into my skinny girl habits. I go to the gym, I work out, I do a juice fast, whatever I need to do to feel whole again, to respect my body again. The next skinny girl habit that I think a lot of people really don't realize or think about is that for skinny girls, especially naturally skinny girls, they have confidence in themselves beyond their weight. For a lot of naturally skinny girls, their weight, their appearance is just kind of second nature because they've never really had to think about it before. So they have had confidence from a young age. Likely again, because, hey, they've always been conventionally attractive. They've never had to deal with, fat shaming or whatever. So they've never had that burden. So it is easier for them to be confident, right? And so because they've never had that burden of their weight, they have been able to pursue other aspects of their personality. They have been able to pursue other goals in general. And this is something I think really correlates to the statistics when they say that, okay, thinner people make more money, they're more attractive, they, have more confidence, or they get more opportunities, is not just because of their physical size, but because of what that size has meant for them from such a young age. Again, it gave them more confidence. So they were able to stand up for themselves more. They were able to pursue more things in life because they believed they could, because they believed that they were worthy. And this is not saying that they don't have to work at being skinny. I mean, even like the supermodels or models who have an easier time at being skinny, it is still work, but they don't place their entire self-worth in being skinny. And I think In essence, that makes it easier for them to be skinny because it is not a constant burden for them. So what that can look like for us is like, yes, look, I know it's hard to think, well, how can I not think about being skinny, Whitney? Because I'm fat. I've always been fat and it's the one thing I want and I would feel so much better if I was just skinny. Totally agree. And you know what? I'm not even gonna lie to you and say that your life will not get better when you lose the weight. But what I will say is that, yeah, it is for sure not everything. If you only focus on that, if you put your entire self-worth in your weight, then you will be in for a rude awakening, and it will actually probably be harder for you to maintain the weight. So while you are pursuing your weight loss goals, while you were trying to be skinny and a model or whatever, also keep in mind that you should be pursuing your other goals. And again, what I am about on this channel is not just losing weight, but just living your dream life in general. At least that was always my goal, even when I was 14 years old. Yes, the weight loss and looking hot was the main motivator, but there were so many other things I wanted to do in my life, so many other goals, and I pursued those simultaneously. And again, guess what? I think it is one of the reasons that I was able to maintain the weight loss for so long is that I did not put everything into being skinny, into losing weight. I used that as like a stepping stone to build up my confidence so that I would pursue all the other dreams and goals in my life, because I know that I'm more than just my weight, and you are too. Finally, the last habit of skinny girls. Skinny girls don't think about being skinny, they just are. They just do. They don't think about having to work out and having to eat healthy. They just do. It's just their life, okay? They don't think about being skinny as being work. It's just their life. It's just who they are. And that's the point I want to impress upon you right now if you are on your weight loss journey. Yes, it may feel like work at first because you are changing your habits. It is so different from what you have been doing before. But the more you continue to think, oh, this is so hard. Oh, I hate this. I hate working out. I hate eating healthy. Oh my God, I want to eat the pizza, but I'm trying to be skinny, so I have to eat the salad. The more you think about it like that, the less likely you are to be successful, the less likely you are to keep it off, because you're not thinking like a skinny girl. Remember, a skinny girl, she likes eating healthy. And even if she doesn't like it all the time, it is what it is. It's her life, okay? This is who she chose to be. Those are the standards she chose for herself. So if you want to be healthy, if you want to be skinny, then get over it, okay? Get over the fact that you have to eat healthy. Yes, you do. Eating healthy is good for you. Yes, you have to work out. Working out is good for you. Stop complaining about it. This is the thing. The sooner you stop complaining about it, the sooner you stop telling yourself that it's so hard, the sooner that you just accept that, yeah, actually it is kind of hard. It does take effort. The easier it gets. That's the funny thing. So again, if you want to be a skinny girl, if you want to lose weight, well, don't just think about it, just do it. Just be it, okay? Skinny girls don't think about, oh, should I have the pizza or the salad? She just eats the salad, okay? Skinny girls don't think about, should I go to this workout class or should I go get drunk with my friends? No, she just goes to the workout class. She doesn't even think about getting drunk with her friends, at least not unless it's a cheat day, okay? So just be, just do, don't think. If you want to be a skinny girl, then be a skinny girl. That's what it comes down to. And I think that's where I will leave you guys. Those were the 10 habits of skinny girls that you probably never thought about before. And I hope that I explained them well enough in this video that they are something you can start implementing into your daily routine. You are what you repeatedly do. So if what you are repeatedly doing right now is not working, it's not giving you the results you want, if you are stuck at a plateau, you need to think about what you are doing on a daily basis. What are you thinking on a daily basis that is keeping you stuck? You need to start acting and thinking like a skinny girl. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel for more content like this. As always, let me know in the comments what you think. Have you implemented some of these habits into your own life? Or what do you think are the habits that are keeping you from being a skinny girl? I'm always interested to hear. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.